Hi, I wanted to show you about our Gizmo that we tried to do on Friday. It was a bit bumpy because we didn't have all of the class teams info in the Google form, but eventually we got there. And so I wanted to make certain that I showed you what you picked up. This was the item that you picked up in class. And to answer these questions that you're doing, we're going to need to use a simulator. And a simulator is an on-site or an online generator of a whole bunch of data. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go take a look at the little cards that you got. If you were absent on Friday, I emailed you a card. It's got your name on it. It's got the website that we're going to use. It's got my teacher name and the class period. This one is from third period. It also has your password. This one is my pretend student, new student. That's their pretend password. So you're going to find this little card and you're going to go to the website that is listed there, which is, you can type into your Google Chrome site, go-el for explorelearning.com. And that'll take you to this orange page. I make sure you're on the student, not the educator login, student right there. And then you're going to enter your teacher's username. And the teacher's username is going to be K Worley, WHS, and KWORLEY. There you go. And then hit the login button. And then it will probably not give you all these choices, but I enrolled myself in all of my classes. So hopefully it'll just give you your class period. So let's go ahead and go into class period 3. That's going to give you all the names of your classmates. And so you click on you. I am, let's see, new student right there. And I'm going to select your Gizmo. The Gizmo should be right in here for you to get to the Gizmo, which is the actual food web named Gizmo that we're going to do this weekend or this Friday, and then leftover, whatever doesn't get finished in class, we'll do on Friday. Type in your password. Again, your password comes from your Explore Learning card. So mine is right there, and I'll click it, and in I go. I'm going to say no thanks at this time. If you wanted to tell your Chromebook to memorize that, that would probably be helpful in the future. And here I am in my biology class. I'm going to click and open. And the only two things that you should see at this point are a food chain simulator and then a different simulator called ecosystems. We're going to do this one together on Monday and Tuesday, but I'd like you to take the worksheet that you got in class, which is right here, and I'd like you to click the food chain link. And to start it, you don't really click here, you're going to click over here with the launch. I'm going to make this as big as I can so I can see it a little bit easier. And so I can read it really well. I'm going to make certain that I've got my paper at my fingertips. Let's see, I think it's a PDF, so I can move it out of the way. But it starts off by telling you a whole bunch of stuff. So you've got the little tab that says simulation, description, table, bar chart, and graph. And each one of these is clickable. And so you've got to use the simulator as the instructions tell you how. So the opening piece is vocabulary, prior knowledge. So you're going to answer these questions before you get into the Gizmo. Answer about producers and consumers. And then it says warm up. The simulation pane of the Gizmos shows the current population. So I'm going to slide this over to the side. It says it's got an image here, just like you have here. And it's asking for you to give the number of each organism in the food chain. So the current populations currently, not these numbers, 34, 230, and these, look at your simulator, 42 hawks. So you're going to type in 42 hawks there, 278 snakes right there, 2,566 bunny rabbits on my image, and 27,300 blades of grass on my image. Now your numbers might be a little bit different than mine because these are real simulators. And what that means is the data and the analogs that have been written or the formulas that have been written to calculate this will generate some level of variation. So your numbers and my numbers might not be exactly the same. But then it goes ahead, it moves on and says, number 2, select the bar chart tab. So we're going to come up here and hit bar chart tab. And then it says for you to click play. Now make sure you read all the instructions before you hit any buttons. What do you notice about each population as time goes by? So we're going to start here at the bar chart. It looks like I've got percent of balance. So this is telling me these y-axis numbers are 100% balanced with grass, rabbit, snake, and hawk. So what does that mean, balanced? So we're going to look and see what the simulator does, what happens to the numbers if we start with the numbers that are shown here, and it says that it is 100% in balance. So let's go ahead and hit play and see what happens. So you can see the time down here. And we've got 7 months and 8 months. It's not a lot of movement, is there? So you can keep letting this go for a year or 2 if you wish. I'm going to go ahead and stop it after 2 years, which was 24 months. And really, the number of hawks just declined the tiniest bit. So it says here on my instructions, what do you notice? So I'm going to type in here, I'm going to write by hand, that the population numbers didn't change, with one tiny exception being the hawks. The hawk number decreased just the slightest percentage. It says if populations don't change very much over time, the ecosystem is in equilibrium, which means things are nicely in balance. It says notice the populations decrease as you go from the bottom of the food chain to the top. Why do you think that's so? So why do we have 27,000 blades of grass and only 2,500 bunnies? Why do we only have 283 snakes? And how is it that we only have 42 hawks? Why is the number decreasing as you move up? Now, based on what we've done in our notebook, I think you could come up with a beautiful answer talking about how many organisms are being consumed by the trophic level above, and see how you can explain it. It is sometimes hard to explain with new vocabulary, but give it a whirl. It says this diagram showing decreasing populations at each level is called an energy pyramid. So let's keep going. Then we get to activity A. And activity says, let's get the gizmo ready, click reset, and check that the bar chart is selected. So we're going to move out of the way. We're going to hit reset, which is this go back arrow. And we are still on bar chart. So that looks great. Coming back to the instructions, it says the question is, predators are animals that hunt other animals, called prey. How do predator and prey populations affect one another? So we're talking about the hawks preying on the snakes or the snakes preying on the rabbits. So it says run the gizmo with several different starting conditions. You can use the up or down arrows, buttons. Use the up or down buttons to add or remove organisms, or you can choose deceased from the drop-down list. Form a hypothesis. How do you think the predator and prey populations might affect each other? And then it's going to ask you to do this. So I'm going to move my graphic out of the way. Let's say everything's pretty healthy, but we're going to really decrease the rabbit population. So I'm going to hit down, 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 down. So if I consider that I just put the rabbit population at 25% of what's normal and balanced, then I think the grass population is going to go way up because there's going to be lots less bunnies eating it. And I think the snake population is going to drop. I think because the snake population drops, I think the hawk population is going to drop too. So let's just hit it and see what happens. Ooh, there's that grass going up. Oh, and then the grass went way up and the bunnies came back down. Snakes went up and down and now they're coming back. Hawks went up and down. They're kind of climbing back up again. Oh my goodness. So it kind of looks, it looks like it kind of went back to where it was before when we ran it the first time. So let's go back to our instructions. So I thought when I hit go and I decreased my bunnies way down, I thought that the grass population was going to go sky high and the snake population would decrease. And then what really happened was the grass population did go sky high, but then it came back to a balanced state, and everything else did as well, with the exception of just those hawks decreasing the tiniest amount. So I'll say something like that in my hypothesis section. And then it says, let's go do some predictions. It says, based on your hypothesis, predict how changing the rabbit population will affect the other organisms at first. Right? Increase or decrease next to each predator in the table. So if I doubled the rabbit population, what do you think that's going to do to the grass? What do you think that's going to do to the snakes and the hawks? And then I'd like you to run it. So let's go ahead and say what you think is going to happen. Increase, decrease stays the same are your 3 words right here. And then let's go ahead and try it. I'm going to take that rabbit population. It is at 2568, so I'm going to go cut that in half. Down to, there we go, about half. And then the snake population, let's see, doubling rabbit. Oh, I needed to double the rabbit population. I went the wrong way. Let's try that again. I think it needs to go to 200%. I'm going to double the rabbit population. So now it's 200%. So 5,100 bunnies. And then let's go back to the sheet. So I'm going to say initially with 5,100 bunnies, I think they're going to overeat the grass and the grass is going to way go down. So I'm going to write decrease the grass. The snake population is going to go way up because there's so many more bunnies. They can support a lot more snakes. And I think the hawks are going to even go up a little bit. So write your prediction down and then run it and see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and get my worksheet out of the way and run it. Ooh, grass drops. Rabbit population dropped. Grass is going back up. Snake and hawk population both dropped. But now they're creeping back up. Interesting. Oh my goodness. So it went right back down to equilibrium. Very interesting. So I'm going to write here the result went right back to 27,000 for grass, went back to equilibrium. Result, the snakes went back to 283, which is at equilibrium, and the hawks went back to 42, so it's still my equilibrium. So then having the rabbit population. So if you take the rabbit population, you cut it down in half. Okay, and we're going to try it again. Oops. Okay, and hit play. Grass population goes way up. Snakes and hawks drop. And now they're climbing. Grass is going back up and down. Oh my goodness, it looks like we got right back to equilibrium. So I think that you're understanding what we're doing here. I want you to roll through all these different scenarios. Follow the instructions on your handout that you got in class. Again, if you were not here on Friday's class time, then I probably have sent you an email or I've posted this worksheet that you can use in Google Classroom. Thanks very much. Have a great weekend.